All right, Hanno, we are down here at Tacos and Tequila. Well, you're not. You said you were. In fact, we're recording later because I thought this guy.
Oh, don't give me this shit. I was on at 5 and you're stuffing your face. Oh, let's just go. So don't give me any excuses. I was ready to go.
What did you or did you not text me you're getting off the train? And you said, where are you?
Yeah, I did, but our start time was 5 o'clock. And I was on and you're still eating.
All right. Well, we're recording this. Thanks to Joe and Tacos and Tequila Pioneers, Tacos and Tequila for having us. Sounds like Hanson's up in Edmonds. And by the looks of things, where you're at, you got your own open bar up there.
Correct. Yeah.
So look, we're going to be real quick and we're going to put the Tom Hutler, Seattle Mariners PA announcer, legendary PA announcer since 1987. You know, the voice of T-Mobile Park. Part 2 of that episode will be on the backside of this. We promised it the next day, but a lot of people are enjoying part 1, so we just let that breeze for a bit. And in the meantime, we talked to Tom. The Mariners have swept the first series with the St. Louis Cardinals here this week. Hanno, what's your first observation of that series?
A few things. First of all, really, really good bullpen series. I have not seen them be that strong, especially in game 2 after Kirby. They looked absolutely fantastic. Brash looked really great. And then game 3 was just a game that they should have put away a lot earlier. And, you know, I was getting pretty upset that they didn't take care of business right away, but they ended up doing it. I mean, that would have just been an awful game to kick. So all in all, they did what they're supposed to. I was hoping for 6-1 on this homestand, and it's going to be a really, really tough series, I believe, with the Angels. They've always, you know, been a bugaboo to us, and it's just they're not a pushover team. They're going to be fighting, and we just need to continue with a good starting pitching and hitting. So that's just kind of how I feel. I mean, I think these are going to be close games.
Agreed. And we also have the Ninja, who's actually down here at Tacos and Tequila, off camera, as he always is. What were your observations there of this series? What are your takeaways before we start talking about what's going on next?
It was the Naylor series, man. He had a pretty good series. In all 3 games, he was a factor in a close game. So, you know, he played defense. Or Mariners defense is outstanding. A lot of, you know, clutch home runs and close, hard-fought games. And, our relief pitching really came through in game 3, also holding them, you know, so 13 innings. So Leo Rivas knocked us off.
And yes, we forgot about the Leo Rivas.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mentioned that, you know, it's a great series for the bullpen. You know, I think an underrated portion of that game 3 that you guys were talking about, absolutely Louis Rivas, but I got to hand it to Logan Gilbert. He answered the bell many times. The Mariners weren't even in that game if he didn't, you know, shove, put guys down while he was behind. He absolutely just bucked up, made the pitches. I mean, the Cardinals had players all over the base pass the whole game. Sure, he didn't go as long as he wanted, but when he needed to, he bucked down and didn't allow any more runs and kept it as a 1-1 game, and that was huge for me.
Yeah, and the first 2 innings, I think, what was it, 59 pitches? If you said Logan Gilbert's going to have 59 pitches or 49, was it 59? Or, yeah, it was over 50 pitches or at 50 pitches after the first 2 innings. You'd think the game was out of hand already. It was only 1-0. And definitely from him just bearing down in both of those innings. Ninja?
I liked on the TV when he was like, oh, yeah, that's Walter. And then they showed like a slow motion of him like walking off the field all pumped up after he got out of the jams. And it was like doing like some Frankenstein walk with his face just like, I was like, oh, there's Walter. That's definitely Walter coming out.
Yeah, he absolutely turned into Walter. Like I said, yeah, he was in those jams quite a bit. That one inning, Jesus, would he strike out the side with the bases loaded or something close to it? He was just absolutely fantastic. He kept the Mariners in the game, and like you guys mentioned, the bullpen came along and did exactly what they did the previous night. And wouldn't you know, unexpected hero Louis Rivas was in the batting cage, reported getting ready to practice his bunting, and they let him swing away, and he hit his first home run at T-Mobile Park and his second of his career, the last one being on the road trip in Atlanta. So he's going. I expect him. I haven't looked at the lineup yet for this series, but I would assume he's in it, should be in it. This is a type of series and time of the year where you're just playing guys that are going right. I mean, draft picks, how much money you're making, it doesn't matter. You need guys in there that are executing and playing well. So if he's not in it tonight, it'd be totally disappointing, but I find it hard to believe that would be the case. Do you guys know if he's starting tonight?
He is starting in this Angels series. He's 8th in game 1. Crawford hitting after him. So Leo Rivas is getting rewarded for the work that he's been doing. And you talk about a guy, if you don't know his story, he was up last year. He played a lot of games in the minor leagues before he got to the major leagues. He did just fine for us when what we needed last year. He actually didn't do a bad job earlier this year, but they were just looking for just more impact somewhere in the lineup than what he was giving as far as slug. He was in a little bit of a slump, and they just made the change to Cole Young because they have a big investment in Cole Young, and Cole Young was killing it. And Cole Young has helped the Mariners get to this point right now. But just like you said, Hannah, Cole Young might be the second baseman of the future for the Mariners, but right now it's about who's hot right now, and there's no time for that. You got to ride the hot hand. Ninja?
Yeah, Rivas has an OPS over 800 right now after that home run. So,
and what's really not,
yeah, OPS more than Arozarena and Julio right now.
Yeah, and besides his offensive, what he's putting out there, you don't lose anything defensively with him up the middle with JP. I mean, he's an excellent defender, so that's a big key too, because we've, like Ninja mentioned, there's been some nice defensive plays this last series, and you won't lose a step with Louis out there, that's for sure.
No, and you were mentioning all the stuff that Naylor was doing last series. I mean, whether it's been Hanno, you pointing out a series before that he was telling Jorge Polanco what to look for instead of celebrating or sharing a celebration for Eugenio Suarez's home run. Just the digs he does over at first base. We saw the other night him have that incredible play in the 9th inning. Throws that strike over to Munoz, who was sprinting over there. Munoz goes back out to the mound. The next pitch, he throws a ball. Cal sees it, calls timeout. Him and Naylor go over there, and he has that same presence that Cal does out there on the mound. Obviously, the stealing of the bases. And in the series, they were also thinking that maybe he was signaling pitches just like the Yankees did. I mean, this guy is all over the place. So maybe you're watching the game. Maybe you saw this if you were watching the game. I mean, you just keep seeing these little things that you wish there was just like a Naylor cam. And it seems like they have had like a Naylor cam, just what he says when he walks into the dugout, when he's coming out. It's like the BTS that you want to see probably out of any player right now.
Yeah, there's so many little intangibles that he brings to the team, into the game, other than, like you mentioned, his digs at first, his hitting, his base running. I mean, that play you mentioned that he made in the 9th inning was just absolutely incredible. How he hook slide, and he actually got the ball behind him, spun around and threw that strike. It was phenomenal. Great first base play. And then, the Mariners have been off a little bit, at least I've noticed. When I mean off, they just haven't been perfect throws at first, and he's maneuvering around that bag and getting himself set up so he can get the longest stretch he can, like that one where JP dove up the middle last night, came up firing, and it looked like it was going to be high and up the outfield line, and Naylor just slid over and just swapped it like he was swapping a fly or something. It was just a great play. But yeah, there's so many good things to like about Naylor. He did mention too, Myron, when you were talking about what they were talking about, he got asked when he went to the mound, and yeah, typical Naylor, he just kind of said that he was asking what everybody was doing after the game. So he doesn't give up much as well to the media at times, but he tries to be funny about it. So obviously he's probably talking to him about something other than that, but that's what he told everybody in the press conference.
He does have that dry Canadian humor in him, for sure.
Yeah, and then he also got that stolen base of third on Monday,
Yes.
and then Rosarena sack flied him in, right?
It was Polo sack flight.
Sack flied him in.
Yeah.
So
I really enjoy Naylor at the 4 spot in this lineup. I know a couple of shows ago, and we had, when things aren't going right, you're kind of going, what do you got to change? And the same thing when things are going good, or opposite when things are going good, and you're going, what does not need this change? What needs to stay the same? I do like Naylor hitting at 4, and I've enjoyed Polo up at 5 and Eugenio at 6. We saw that in the game 3 of this series. I believe we saw it another time in the St. Louis series, but I have liked that. That's made that 6 and that 5 and that 6 spot so dangerous. And you got somebody, out of the first 3 batters that makes more contact, because the first 3 guys are, perennial strikeout guys. And then you finally have Naylor, and then you can get back into, those type of guys for a couple seconds before you get to the end of the lineup.
Yeah, nice decision by them to do that. I mean, it makes sense. Polanco has a 8-game hitting streak going right now. He had that big base hit late in game 3. Was that I think that was an extra innings, wasn't it? That was able to tie up the game. So yeah, he's going right now, and Eugenio it still looks a little bit off. Sure, he ended up the Atlanta series really good, but this series, he wasn't as much of a factor. He was defensively, played a great third base, but offensively, I felt like I didn't notice him as much. But yeah, I agree. I kind of like them moving Polanco and Suarez together rather than what they were doing earlier, moving Suarez and Naylor together.
I see why, too, though, because Naylor's hitting shit out of the ball right now.
It's just how it all kind of fits and flows together. You have what Randy Arozarena brings up at the top of the lineup. He's a big swinger, but he also is a guy who has a good on-base percentage, and he is pretty clutch. So you do like him coming back up later in the game when the lineup turns over. So I do like him at the number 1. I know when things weren't going right, we were talking before, or I was going, maybe, I did like him when he hit behind Cal, because I thought he did a great job there. But I've now seen this in the last week, and looking at the schedule and how many games are only left, I don't think you mess around with that. You leave him at 1, Cal at 2. I feel like he had his best at 3, but 2's fine. Julio 3, and then I do like Naylor at 4, just because all those 3 guys, like Julio, we know what he's about, but a big swinger. He's going to strike out. Cal's going to strike out. You got to have a break in that. And I think Naylor's the right guy to have right there.
Yeah, Naylor, I mean, the Mariners are 15-3, I believe, at home since he's become a part of the team. Just a phenomenal record, hitting 370 with 5 home runs at home. But you mentioned who I feel is kind of the key to this end of the year, Myron, and that's Julio Rodriguez. And you ask, why is that? Well, last night you saw it. Teams are just flat out not going to pitch to Cal and put him on. And Julio's going to have his chances. Sure, he's had a great second half, but it's just he's got to come through in the clutch times because he's going to be put in it quite a bit coming down the stretch here. We saw it last night, so that's some factor that I'm just kind of zeroing in on to see how he handles that.
Agreed. He's going to have to do what Randy Arozarena was doing earlier this season, right around the All-Star break. They were when Cal was on a tear. You were seeing they weren't going to him much. They were pitching around him, and Randy made him pay. That's when Randy went on that big streak. So yeah, Julio's definitely going to have his chances to be a star, maybe even an MVP of a series. He's going to have his chances, especially with Big Dumper hitting in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ninja, you're right. He has had a great year. Slow start, like he always has, it seems like. But, man, he's come on like gangbusters. You're exactly right. He is, probably right now, and the way he's going, top center fielder in the game, or close to, maybe a top 10, 15 player, if not better. you do know with Julio, he's going to post his same numbers pretty much every year, even though you get frustrated with how his starts go and some of the other intangibles. But he always comes through and gets you, 20 something bases or more and around 30 home runs. And he's had a fantastic year. But like we mentioned, Myron, it's going to, for people to really get on board with Julio, he's going to be put in these clutch situations, and hopefully he comes through, which I believe he can.
Yeah, and it's not like he has not done that. We've seen him do it.
Yeah.
It's just right now it's going to be magnified going down the stretch. It's going to be magnified if you make the postseason. And the way, or something that was important to watch here in a close game against St. Louis, all these games were close, but especially this 13-inning game that they just had, you got to see what they're going to do in those close game matchups at the end of the game and how they're going to do that. They're going to put Cal on, and they're going to hope they're going to get Julio to strike out and then maybe Naylor to roll over on one. That's what they're going to try to do.
Yeah, you hit it right there with the word magnified for me. I mean, everything's magnified. Defensively, base running. I mean, we saw Julio run through the stop sign that was, I don't know if Negron was late on his stop sign call, kind of a weird stop, or if he just blew through it. But if you don't get that run and you're thrown out by that much, that stuff gets magnified. So that's kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah. And as far as for a team, I do want to say, look, Anaheim Angels in town, not having another banner year, which always makes me happy since I have to deal with the Angels and Dodgers fans all the time when I'm home. But the Angels, I have to admit, they have always been this team that's, hey, we're not going to the playoffs. And they're going to just reach up and grab you and pull you down and go, neither are you. It seems like we're in this situation with these guys because we always play them at the end of the year. And it seems like these are the series that if you look at the teams and look how they're playing, you're like, Seattle should pounce all over them. But this is one you got to get 3 out of 4.
Definitely. I mean, it was last year that Angels took our season away from us and then got Scott Service job fired, right? We just went on that horrible streak, and it's like the Angels had our number last year.
Yeah, they were terrible against the Angels last year. And, yes, it was during that Dodgers-Angels stretch down in SoCal. And you could go as far as back as 2021 when this whole See Us Rise rebuild of the Mariners first had a spark of life. It was the Angels in that final series. I flew up here for 162. Me and Hannah went there, and we were so disappointed that we said we're starting a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, they just flat out hit us that series, but I mean, going back to this series, I mean, we got to play clean ball. The Angels are going to be aggressive on the base pass, be looking to jump on, ambush some pitches. That's what they do. They have some home run hitters as well, with obviously Trout, who's not quite putting up the numbers he has before, but Adele has become a great home run hitter. I agree. This is going to be a tough series. 3 out of 4 would be perfect, but I would not be surprised if we split. But I'm hoping that that's not the case because you gotta go every day because obviously you're chasing the Houston Astros, and wouldn't you know, the freaking Texas.
Yeah, this is almost like a tryout, or we have to put up a 27-man roster for the playoffs if we make it, and who are we going to keep at? Who's going to be the guys? Would you think Leo Rivas would make the playoff roster right now?
If you were saying right now, yeah, he factors in more in it right now. You'd maybe go, I guess you just, Harry Ford might not be as necessary to have in the playoffs because Cal's going to play every single day, no matter what. So maybe that's the route that I think that's what you'll see at least offensively. But depending on how many pitchers that you're going to carry, but if you get into the playoffs, some of your starters become some of your bullpen guys. So you don't need as many as that. So I do see Leo Rivas on the playoff roster, unless something goes the other way for him here in the next 2 weeks. Hanno?
Yeah, I mean, they don't play Harry Ford now. Why would they put him on the roster? To me, it would make no sense for him to be on the roster. But I agree with you. Rivas is he has the intangibles of a perfect type of bench player that you want. Someone that can pinch run, you've shown, can play a few different positions, switch hit. You can rely on him defensively. He has for sure etched himself into a playoff spot, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, he's taking Demo's spot.
Absolutely, that style of player, no doubt.
Wouldn't it just be poetic justice? Well, I wouldn't want it to end this way, where we played Texas in the playoffs, and obviously they beat us with all these guys. But wouldn't it be, how anxious and tense would we all be as Mariners fans? Let's just say we win the West, but the Texas Rangers get that wild card spot, and you have to play each other in the first round, or it's vice versa. The Texas Rangers just go on this run. You know, a team that was left for dead somewhere outside of El Paso. They've just crawled themselves back up into this thing. But you'd have Donnie Barrels, you'd have Tellez, you'd have Demo, and let's not forget Sam Haggerty on that team. And with Brett Boone over in that dugout playing the Mariners, and just the fear of losing to those guys, where would that be? Where would your tension level be if that happened?
Oh, any Mariner fan that would say they're not holding their breath when Demo is up in the last innings, as a pinch hitter or whatever the situation is, as you haven't been watching Mariners baseball enough to not think that he's probably going to come through and screw over the Mariners. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, that's the freaking, just how Mariner fans feel about that kind of stuff. We've watched baseball or the Mariners team for so long, and we expect that kind of thing to happen to us.
Well, anyways, we're going to wrap things up here down at Tacos and Tequila, but after this break, we're going to be back with a legitimate person. Mariners legendary PA announcer Tom Hutler. Part 2 of that conversation that we just did over in West Seattle at the Eagles is coming.